You are the richest man alive. Your personal fortune and your grip on the treasury of Rome are worth more than 300 billion in today's gold. More than entire kingdoms. More than oceans of silver. And right now, on a warm March morning, you are sitting on a chair of solid gold in a marble hall. And you are holding nothing but a small iron writing pen. 23 men are closing in around you. One of them is the son of the only woman you ever truly loved. You came here to be crowned the master of the world. You will not leave this room on your feet. But to understand how a man who could buy the planet ends up cornered with a writing pen in his fist, we have to go back to the very beginning. You are born in the heat of July, in a city that smells of wood smoke, fish sauce rotting in the sun, and the damp stone of the river Tiber. You are born into a house in the Subura, a loud, crowded district where the wooden apartment blocks lean over the streets and sometimes collapse onto the people below. And here is your first contradiction. The shadow over your golden cradle. Your family is poor in coin, but your blood is divine. Because you are a Julian. And the Julii do not trace their name back to some general or some merchant. Your family claims descent from Aeneas, the Trojan prince. And Aeneas was the son of Venus herself, the goddess of love and desire. You are told this before you can even walk. The blood of a goddess runs in your veins. Kings and kings sleep in your family tree. You carry 1,000 years of expectation on a child's shoulders. And yet your father cannot fill the family vaults with the gold that a goddess's bloodline demands. This is the lesson the cradle teaches you. A great name without a great fortune is a crown made of smoke. Everyone bows to the legend of your blood. No one lends you the silver to live like it. And somewhere deep inside, before you understand the words for it, you decide you will turn that name into gold, or you will be ruined trying. Your father slips away when you are only 16. There one morning, gone by the time the household wakes. And so the person who truly shapes you, who manages your every move like a general managing a campaign, is your mother. Her name is Aurelia. She is sharp, watchful, and utterly without illusions about how Rome works. She teaches you the first secret of power in this city, that the smile across the dinner couch and the dagger behind the curtain are often carried by the same hand. And the dagger comes for you young. Because Rome is now ruled by one man, a cold, golden-haired strong man named Sulla, who has made himself dictator and is busy erasing every family connected to his rivals. And your family is connected to the worst of them. Your aunt is married to Marius, Sulla's greatest enemy. That makes you a problem to be removed. Sulla gives you one order. Divorce your young wife, Cornelia, the daughter of his dead rival, and prove your loyalty. Every sane man in Rome obeys Sulla. You are 18 years old. You have no army. You have no fortune. You have nothing but that divine name and a stubbornness that will define the rest of your life. You refuse. You refuse the master of the world to his face. And then you run, hiding in the hills, moving from house to house, sick with fever, bribing Sulla's hunting parties with money your family barely has. And Sulla, when they finally beg him to spare you, looks at this penniless 18-year-old who defied him and says the most dangerous compliment of your life. In this one boy, I see many a Marius. He sees it before you do. He sees the empire in the child. You survive. But you have just learned the rule that will govern every day of your golden, dangerous life. In Rome, the men at the very top do not die in their beds of old age. They are pulled down. And the only way to never be pulled down is to climb so high that no hand can ever reach you. You intend to climb. Here is the trap Rome sets for a man like you. You have the blood of a goddess and the debts of a beggar. And the old families of the Senate want to keep it exactly that way. Men like Cato, humorless, incorruptible, and convinced you are a disease, understand that as long as you are drowning in what you owe, you can be controlled. A man in debt can be bought. A man in debt can be ruined with a single word from his creditors. So your first front of war is not on a battlefield. It is the slow, smiling war of the Roman aristocracy, who would rather see your divine name rot than watch you turn it into power. Your answer to them is the most reckless strategy in the history of money. You decide to owe so much that your creditors cannot afford to let you fall. You borrow like a man setting fire to the sky. You spend on games, on roads, on bread for the mob, on the most lavish public spectacles Rome has ever seen. And every coin of it is borrowed. Early in your climb, your debts reach 25 million sesterces. In today's money, you are roughly $90 million in the red. You are so deeply underwater that when you try to leave for a posting in Spain, your creditors physically seize your baggage at the gates to stop you from fleeing the city. $90 million in debt. And the people you are buying bread for will be lucky to live past 30. That is the gap you are gambling across. Barley mush and collapsing apartments on one side, and a man on the other side spending borrowed fortunes to become a god. To cross that gap, you need the second front. You must prove out in the wider world that you are not just a charming spender, but a man the gods themselves protect. And the world gives you your moment when you are still young and sailing the Aegean, and a fast ship of sea raiders takes you captive. They tell you your ransom is 20 talents of silver. You laugh in their faces. 20? Do they not know who they are holding? You tell them to demand 50, nearly 1.5 tons of pure silver, well over $1 million in metal alone. You raise your own ransom because the insult of a cheap price is worse than the danger. For 38 days you live among these raiders, not as a prisoner, but as a prince. You order them to be quiet when you sleep. You write poems and speeches and read them aloud. And when they do not applaud, you call them illiterate savages to their faces. And you smile, and you promise them again and again, as a friendly little joke, that the moment you are free, you will hunt them down and nail them to crosses. They roar with laughter. The penniless aristocrat with the golden tongue. What a character. The ransom is paid. You go free, and then you do exactly what you promised. You raise a small fleet. You track them to their anchorage. You take back every coin of the silver, and the men who laughed at your promise meet the fate you swore to them, one by one, on the crosses outside the harbor. Rome hears the story and understands something new about you. You do not forget. You do not bluff. And the gods seem to walk beside you. Now the third front, the heaviest one. Not an enemy, but a ghost. Because in Spain, sent there to govern and to claw back some of your fortune, you stand before a statue of Alexander the Great. And you do the math no ambitious man should ever do. Alexander had conquered the entire known world and died a legend by the age you are right now. And what have you done? Governed a province, paid off some loans. You weep openly at the foot of that statue, not from sadness, from shame, the shame of inherited greatness unspent. Your bloodline conquered nothing yet, and the clock is running. So you make your decision, and this is the one that defines what kind of man you will be. You go home to your mother Aurelia, and you stake your entire existence on a single throw. You will run for Pontifex Maximus, the highest sacred office in Rome, the keeper of the gods themselves. An office no one your age and your debt has any right to want. To win it, you borrow a sum from Crassus, the richest man in Rome, equal to $150 million today, and you pour it all into bribes and favors in a single morning. If you lose, you are finished, ruined, exiled, or worse. There is no second attempt. You kiss Aurelia goodbye at the door, and you tell her the truth. Mother, today you will see me return as the high priest of Rome, or you will not see me return at all. You win. And in that instant, the equation of your life flips. You are no longer the charming debtor the Senate can leash. You hold the gods in one hand and a mountain of debt in the other. And the only way to pay one and keep the other is to become so powerful that Rome can never again say no to you. So you make your masterstroke. You bind yourself to Crassus and his gold, and to Pompey and his legions, in a secret pact of 3 men who agree to quietly own the republic between them. Cato rages. Your fellow consul Bibulus locks himself in his house in protest, and Romans joke that the year's 2 consuls are Julius and Caesar, because you now rule alone. The threats are neutralized. The Senate is outmaneuvered. The gold is borrowed. And you have just secured the one prize that will turn your divine name into the largest fortune the world has ever seen. Command of the legions on the wild northern frontier. You are going to Gaul. You spend 8 years in the north, and you come back having done something no Roman has ever done. You have swallowed an entire world. The land you conquer is most of modern France and Belgium. Dark, endless forests where the cold bites through wool and the air smells of wet pine, wood smoke, and iron. The tribes there have been hoarding gold in their temples for centuries. Gold pulled from rivers and traded across the whole continent. And you take all of it. Every sacred hoard, every temple vault, every ornament off every defeated chieftain. More than 1 million people are put in chains across those 8 years and sold across the Mediterranean. And the gold flows back to Rome behind you in a river that never seems to end. You bring home so much gold that you break the price of gold itself. Understand what that means. You, one man, flood the Roman market with so much physical gold that its value collapses by more than 1/3. Dropping from 4,000 sesterces a pound to 3,000. You personally caused the price of the most precious metal on earth to melt by 1/4. Imagine a single person dumping so much treasure into the world today that the price of all the gold on the planet crashed in a week. That is the scale of your signature. You did not just get rich. You moved the markets of the entire ancient world with your bare hands. And then you spend it like a god redecorating the earth. You decide Rome is too small for your name, so you buy 4 city blocks in the dead center of the capital, the most expensive land in existence, just to build your own private forum. The cost of buying the properties and clearing the people off them is 100 million sesterces. In today's purchasing power, that is around $350 million spent to buy 4 blocks of downtown Manhattan and run a plow over everything standing there. You build a summer villa on the shores of a lake, pour the equivalent of $50 million into imported African marble and glass mosaics. Walk through it when it is finished, dislike a single detail of the facade, and order the entire fortune in stone leveled to the ground. You destroy more wealth than a whole city produces in a year, because you woke up not in the mood for that house. Now step inside a single ordinary day in this life. You wake on linen so fine, it costs more than a soldier earns in a decade. Before you rise, Greek attendants, the most expensive servants money can buy, go over every inch of your skin with iron tweezers and creams of crushed almond and rare ash, plucking you smooth, a small daily agony you endure because you are vain to the bone. You face the mirror and confront the one enemy gold cannot defeat. You are going bald, and it tortures your pride. So you comb the thin hairs forward, and you wear your laurel crown of victory altar every day in the Senate, not only as a symbol of glory, but to hide the bare crown of your head. The most powerful man on earth, hiding a thinning scalp under leaves of gold. You dress in a toga unlike any other man's, woven with pure silk carried by camel for 2 years, along the road from distant China, where a single pound of that cloth trades for a full pound of gold. Your sleeves run long to the wrists with delicate fringe, a style so extravagant and so costly that the old Senate finds it scandalous. You wear your belt loose, a quiet message to every soldier and senator who sees you. I am so far above you that I no longer need to dress like a man ready to fight. Then you eat, and on your table the luxury is not the amount. It is the impossible rarity. Peacock brains glazed in honey, eels raised in private pools and fattened for your plate alone, and the wine, Falernian of the Opimian vintage, aged more than 100 years, so thick and dark it pours like black honey, strained through silver filters packed with snow that fast riders have carried down from the mountains just to chill your cup. 1 jar of that wine is worth more than a craftsman earns in years. Every meal you eat is worth a working family's lifetime. You drink history itself, filtered through silver and ice. And for the people, you stage the greatest shows the world has ever seen, because you understand that a crowd that is entertained will love a master more than a crowd that is merely fed. You dig an artificial lake near the Tiber, and you fill it not with little boats, but with real full-sized warships, 2 and 3 banks of oars each, manned by 4,000 rowers and 2,000 fighters who battle across the water until the lake itself runs red. The cost of building those ships and staging a naval war in the middle of the city would today rival producing 3 blockbuster films the size of Avatar, live in 1 afternoon, for free. At the games for your own family, you put 640 fighters into the arena, wearing armor of solid polished silver, so blinding under the Roman sun that the crowd nearly loses its mind. No one in history has ever thrown that much pure silver onto the bodies of men. And for the woman you love most, Servilia, you buy a single black pearl worth 6 million sesterces, around $22 million today, 1 jewel that costs more than most provinces. Then comes the day it all converges into the highest moment of your golden life, your great triumph. 4 triumphs in a row for 4 conquered corners of the world. You ride through Rome in a golden chariot, your face painted the deep red of a god, while the whole city roars your name. You stretch a vast canopy of imperial purple silk over the entire forum, just to shade the common people from the sun. The most expensive fabric on the planet, spread across the city center like a tent sewn from a mountain of the finest cloth on earth. You set up 40,000 tables in the streets and feed all of Rome for free. And to each of your 20,000 veterans, you hand a cash bonus worth around $50,000 apiece, plus land. The single largest payout to an army in human history. You even seize control of time itself. The calendar has fallen into chaos, so you summon astronomers from Egypt and rebuild the year from scratch, adding 1 monstrous year of confusion of 445 days to set the heavens right. And you give one of the months your own name, the month you were born in, July. So that 2,000 years from now, every human being alive will still speak your name out loud without even knowing it. You have signed the world, in gold, in silk, in stone, in blood, and in time. But as that golden chariot rolls through the cheering city, a servant stands behind you holding the crown above your head. And his only job is to lean close and whisper again and again, a single sentence into your ear. Remember that you are only a man. You are not listening. And that is exactly when the shadow over your golden cradle begins, very quietly, to grow. Here is the cruelty no amount of gold can fix. You have won everything, and now you are completely alone. You are named dictator for life. Your face goes on the coins, the first living Roman ever to be treated like a god while still breathing. They give you a golden chair, a temple, a priest, statues among the immortals, and every honor they pile on you is another bar of the cage closing around you. Because a man worshipped as a god has no equals left, and a man with no equals has no friends. You try to soften it with mercy. This is your famous clemency. Instead of destroying the rivals who fought against you, you forgive them. You pardon them, restore their fortunes, hand them back their positions, even seat them near you. You think you are being magnificent. You do not understand that to a proud Roman aristocrat, owing his very life to your mercy is worse than ruin. Every man you forgive walks away smiling at you and quietly hating you because you have made him a beggar living on your generosity. You are surrounded by men who survive only because you allowed it, and not one of them can forgive you for it. And no one will tell you the truth anymore. No one says no to a living God. So the flatterers crowd in, and the warnings grow faint, and you start to believe the divine story they sell you. When your friend Mark Antony tries to set a royal diadem on your head in public, you wave it away. But the crowd has seen it, and Rome, which tore itself apart to be rid of kings, begins to whisper that you mean to make yourself one. Then there is the secret you guard above all others. You carry the sacred sickness, the falling fits. More than once, in front of the very generals who must believe you are touched by the gods, your body has betrayed you. You have dropped to the ground, shaking, foaming, helpless, while hard men watch their living God writhe in the dirt. Nothing terrifies you more than being seen weak. So you hide it. You outrun it. You cover it with gold and laurel and spectacle. But you know, in the cold hours, that the body underneath the crown is just a man's, and it is failing. You were born owing nothing to anyone, born with the blood of a goddess, never needing to ask. And that is exactly why, when the knife is finally at your back, you will not know how to ask for help. Because the knife is already there. Right now, in your own inner circle, men you call friends are counting the days. Gaius Cassius, sharp and bitter, has been gathering them in quiet rooms. And at the center of the plot is the one name that can truly undo you. Marcus Brutus, the son of Servilia, the woman you loved more than any wife. The woman you bought that $22 million pearl for. You have protected this young man, promoted him, forgiven him for fighting against you. You may, in your private heart, half believe he is your own. And for months, he has been sitting at your tables and walking at your side, while planning the morning he will turn on you. The warnings come, the way they always do for doomed men. A soothsayer tells you to beware a day in the middle of March. Your wife Calpurnia wakes from a dream of your golden statue running red and begs you not to leave the house. The signs in the heavens are wrong. The sacrifices come out wrong. Every instinct your mother Aurelia ever taught you about the dagger behind the smile is screaming at once. But you are the man who raised his own ransom out of pride. You are the man who weeps that he is not yet Alexander. A god does not hide at home because his wife had a bad dream. You smooth your toga. You fix the thin hair under the laurel crown. and you walk out the door toward the chair of gold that is waiting for you. The hall is the theater of Pompey, the monument of your old rival, the man you defeated to stand alone. You take your seat on the golden chair, and they come to you the way petitioners always do, with a scroll, with a request, crowding close. Julius Caesar reaches out and pulls the toga from your shoulder. That is the signal. The first stroke comes near your throat. For one heartbeat, the old fighter in you surges up. You grab the arm. You drive your iron writing pen into it. You twist, you fight. Because you are still the young man who raised his own ransom and hunted his captors across the sea. You turn to face them, and there are too many. 23 strokes of iron find you in that marble room. And the men delivering them are senators you pardoned, men whose lives and fortunes you gave back, men who smiled at your table. And then you see him. Through the crowd, moving toward you with the rest, comes Marcus Brutus, Servilia's son, the young man you protected, promoted, perhaps loved as your own. And in that instant, something in you simply stops. The fight goes out of you. Whatever you say in that last moment, and history still argues over the words, the meaning is the same. You too, my boy. If he is among them, then there is nothing left worth defending. So you make your final choice, the only thing in this room you can still control. You will not be seen falling like a frightened animal with your bare legs splayed on the floor. You are a Julian. You carry the blood of a goddess. So you gather the lower folds of your purple toga and you draw them up over your face and your legs, wrapping yourself, choosing in your last seconds to fall covered, composed, like a king and not a victim. You sink down at the base of the statue of Pompey, your old enemy, and the red runs across the marble at the feet of the man you beat. The richest man in the world, worth more than entire kingdoms, leaves it all behind, with nothing in his hand but a writing pen and a fistful of his own fine cloth. This is the secret of your kind. You could not avoid the fall. No one could. But you could choose how you met it, and you fell with the dignity of the goddess's blood, on your own terms, in a gesture so composed it has echoed for 2,000 years. And the gold? In your will you give it away. 300 sesterces in cash to every common citizen of Rome, a few $100s pressed into the hands of 200,000 people. And you open your private gardens to the public forever. Like a man leaving his palace and his fortune to the very crowd that watched him rise. The mob that you fed and bribed and entertained weeps in the streets for you and turns its fury on the proud men who thought they were saving the republic. But here is the bitter joke at the center of it all. The men who ended you did it to save the free republic, and they killed it instead. Within a generation, your grandnephew takes your name, takes your gold, takes your throne, and becomes the first true emperor of Rome. The republic you supposedly threatened is gone forever, and one-man rule, your kind of rule, becomes the law of the world. You lose your life and win history. They make you a god, Divus Julius, a true deity with a temple in the Forum, and your name stops being a name at all. It becomes the very word for ruler, Kaiser in Germany, Tsar in Russia, spoken by people who will never know they are saying it for the next 2,000 years. So let me leave you with one question. If you could have everything, all the gold, all the glory, your name turned into a word that outlives empires, but you had to fall the way you fell, betrayed by the ones you forgave, would you take that deal? Tell me below. Because next time, you will live inside the gold-painted nightmare of the man who inherited a throne and set his own empire on fire. and you will learn whether the most spoiled heir in history ever understood what he had before it all turned to ash.